evening and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mohana Priya and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. Our headlines today. PM says there is no reason for Malaysia to depend on the US dollar. To 5.5 million ringgit worth of drugs seized in a series of raids. There is no reason for a country like Malaysia to continue to depend on the US dollar in attracting investments into the country. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim in Parliament today said negotiations between Malaysia and other countries should use the currencies of both countries. According to Datuk Seri Anwar, Bank Negara Malaysia has also made a proposal to pioneer the said method in matters of trade during visits to China using ringgit and renminbi.
Yang lebih besar daripada itu adalah tentang tabung kewangan Asia. Dan ini peringkat awal pernah saya cadang dulu sebagai Menteri Kewangan, tapi perkara itu tidak dapat sambutan dari Asia kerana masa itu dianggap kekuatan dolar Amerika itu sangat kukuh. Tetapi sekarang dengan kekuatan ekonomi China, Jepun dan sebagainya, saya fikir harus dirunding sekurang-kurangnya memikirkan tabung kewangan Asia dan keduanya boleh menggunakan ringgit dan kewangan negeri masing-masing.
Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Anwar said the Cabinet will decide on follow-up measures, including the need to establish a committee to monitor investments from China. The Prime Minister said the follow-up measures will be discussed in a Cabinet meeting to be held tomorrow.
Tapi setakat ini, program ini dan projek ini dipantau oleh Kementerian MITI dan kita ada Maida dan Matrid yang saya rasa mampu menyelenggarakan kerana persiapan dibuat oleh Kementerian Luar, MITI dan pegawai-pegawai sangat memuaskan yang menyebabkan kita dapat mencapai prestasi yang diharapkan.
Earlier, Datuk Seri Anwar stated the positive results of his recent maiden visit to China in terms of economic and investment opportunities, including an investment commitment of 170 billion ringgit obtained from the visit. He said several memorandums of understanding were also signed during the visit, including 12 in the service sector, 11 in the manufacturing sector, and 4 in the infrastructure sector. On another matter, the Prime Minister said a total of 12,800 contract doctors are expected to be absorbed into permanent positions within the next 3 years. Datuk Seri Anwar said the government is also taking into account the financial implications involved and is looking to solve the issue in stages. Datuk Seri Anwar said the number of remaining contract doctors to hold permanent positions in the civil service by 2025 are expected to involve an additional allocation of 1.7 billion ringgit.
Sebab itu saya merayu sementara tuntutan itu menasabah bahawa mereka berkhidmat sekian lama, tapi perkara ini tertangguh sekian lama. Jadi untuk tahun ini kita selesaikan semua, kita tak mampu. Jadi apa yang dilakukan oleh kerajaan adalah untuk menambah 1.7 bilion ringgit daripada penambahan 3 bilion ringgit emolument untuk 2023.
He also said that this year the government has absorbed 4,300 contract doctors into permanent positions. In a related development, Datuk Seri Anwar said the government has agreed for the on-call allowance to be extended to medical officers at 6 health clinics involved in the pilot project to tackle the overcrowding issue in hospitals. The Prime Minister said it is also agreed that the payment of the allowance is extended to include weekends.
Dan waktu perluasan dipanjangkan merakumi hari kelepasan mingguan kepada 6 klinik kesihatan yang terlibat dalam projek rintis mengurangkan kesesakan hospital kerajaan. Saya juga telah harapkan JPA dan Kementerian Kewangan mengkaji agar kemudahan ini dipanjangkan kepada semua selain pegawai perubatan.
Datuk Seri Anwar said even though the current rate of the on-call allowance is appropriate, it needs to be raised as the allowance did not include doctors working in health clinics or hospital emergency departments. Meantime, Datuk Seri Anwar explained that the move to impose an excise tax on the sale of vape liquids or gels is one of moderate approaches taken by the government to regulate smoking products containing nicotine. He also said that the move was made to stop the smoking habit among people in this country. At the same time, the Prime Minister said the government remained firm in prohibiting smoking in places such as schools and Parliament, apart from increasing the advocacy campaign to raise awareness of the dangers of smoking, especially among young people.
Apakah kerajaan bertegas akan memperkenalkan undang-undang seperti mana yang disebut oleh Menteri Kesihatan tempoh hari? Saya jawab ya. Keputusan kita jelas akan memperkenalkan. Kelewatan itu saya mohon maaf kerana ramai ahli parlimen minta dikaji semula beberapa peruntukan, bukan menolak sama sekali.
The Ministry of Health said today it detected a rise in the number of COVID-19 cases by 37.7% for the week ending Saturday, 1st April last week, after schools nationwide reopened. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said the number of new cases went from 2,228 cases in the previous week to 3,069 cases, while 9 new clusters have emerged. He said the increase in COVID-19 cases and clusters came following the reopening of the school session in the middle of March 2023. In a statement today, he said the increase is also caused by the public's movement during the latest school holiday. Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the number of admissions of COVID-19 patients and suspects to health facilities per 100,000 in the population also increased by 24.1%. He said out of those, patients from Category 1 increased by 80%. The ministry said out of 17 clusters that emerged since the start of the year, 11 of them were from the educational institutions, 3 from colleges, 1 each from secondary religious school, boarding school and secondary school. While 5 more clusters involved 4 tertiary educational institutions and 1 from a childcare centre. Schools nationwide reopened on the 19th and 20th March last month. Next, Mercy Malaysia has raised 6 million ringgit for Syria Earthquake Fund. Three Vietnamese women were among 4 people arrested by police in connection with the seizure of drugs worth 5.5 million ringgit in 2 separate raids in Pantai Remis near Manjung last Saturday. Perak Police Chief Datuk Sri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said the suspects, aged between 32 and 39, were arrested at a rented house at 7 a.m. by a team from the State Narcotics Crime Investigation Department. The search of the house, believed to have been used for processing and packaging drugs, found 245 ecstasy pills and ecstasy powder, all worth 95,043 ringgit. Police also seized chemicals and equipment used to process and package drugs.
Sindiket ini dipercayai bergiat aktif sejak awal tahun 2022. Dan dadah yang dirampas adalah untuk diedarkan di pasaran tempatan di negeri Perak. Jumlah dadah yang dirampas boleh digunakan oleh anggaran seramai 258,000 orang penagih dadah.
Briefing reporters today, he said, from the second house, which belongs to the male local suspect, police seized 11,838 ecstasy pills, ecstasy powder and ecstasy liquid. The police team also found 2 kilograms of dried leaves believed to be marijuana, crystals suspected to be methamphetamine and heroin, with all the seized drugs worth about 5.4 million ringgit. Police also confiscated 3 vehicles as well as a chain and a ring with a total estimated value of 763,693 ringgit. Muhammad Yusri said all the suspects tested positive for amphetamine-type drugs and the male suspect had a record of 9 criminal cases. He said all the suspects had been remanded for a week from 2nd April for investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. Selangor targets to have around 2 million landed and stratified holdings or ownerships within 3 years, compared with 1.8 million ownerships so far, in line with the various development projects that are currently being implemented. Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Shari said these development projects were mostly concentrated in the Petaling, Hulu Langat, Kuala Langat and Sepang districts. He said the 1.8 million property holdings or ownership have made Selangor the state with the highest holdings in the country. He added that this does not include gazetted and reserve holdings specifically under the government's management, either under the state secretary or government ownership.
Kita mempunyai 500,000 500,000. So dari keseluruhannya itu 500,000 strata, iaitu hak milik bertingkat, dan keseluruhan 1.8 lah, 1.8 juta hak milik di dalam negeri Selangor. Jadi kalau dengan beberapa projek-projek yang sedang berlangsung dan masih lagi berjalan di Subang, di Shah Alam, di daerah Petaling terutamanya, di daerah Hulu Langat, di daerah Kuala Langat yang begitu rancak pada waktu ini, Sepang tidak ketinggalan, dan seluruh negeri Selangor lah. Kalau saya tak boleh single out mana-mana, saya rasa pemilikan tu boleh mencecah 2 juta dalam tempoh 2 tahun ataupun 3 tahun daripada sekarang.
He said this to reporters after officiating Selangor Land and Mines Officers One-Stop Centre (OSC) in the Sultan Salahuddin Abdul Aziz Shah building today. Datuk Seri Amiruddin said the OSC facility offers services to customers in administrative matters such as submission of land and strata documents, document collection, purchase of official and private searches, lost damaged title application and payment of land tax and fees. Humanitarian organisation Mercy Malaysia has so far raised 6 million ringgit for Turkey-Syria 2023 Earthquake Response Fund since the fundraising campaign was launched in February. In a mock cheque presentation officiated by Deputy Finance Minister Stephen Sim on behalf of Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today, 9 more organisations came forward to present their donations. Mercy Malaysia President Datuk Dr. Ahmad Faizal Mohamad Perdaus said the organisation is allocating the funds to 4 response components, which are access to healthcare support, emergency shelter, food and non-food item support, emergency water, sanitation and hygiene support, and psychosocial support and protection.
Apart from fundraising, active fundraising, we also are in the middle of preparing proposals. We have already had some, and those proposals are being sent to specific donor organizations. So these are on top of the fundraising that we do through our appeal.
Ahmad Faizal said although Mercy Malaysia has a target to obtain a total of 22 million ringgit by the end of the fundraising, the organisation does not have a specific timeline to achieve the amount, but aims the fundraising to last as long as 6 months. The 6th February 2023 earthquake and its aftershocks in Turkey and Syria caused massive destruction in the affected areas, as well as the loss of many lives and displacing almost 2.2 million people. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, KBS, has listed 1,135 sports facilities it owns and operates nationwide in the facility directory introduced today. Its Minister Hannah Yeoh said it was for the convenience of the public and national sports associations to identify and inspect nearby sports facilities for their use.
Kita akan berurusan dengan PBT untuk tengok siapa lagi yang akan berkongsi maklumat tersebut, kita boleh masukkan. Ini adalah untuk membantu wakil rakyat dan juga orang ramai yang nak sewa untuk buat tournament. Kita nak banyakkan lagi tournament kan. Jadi dengan ini event manager dia tak payah pergilah buat recce. Dia klik je kawasan parlimen mana dia dah tahu.
Hannah also hopes that the directory can address the issue of lack of facilities raised by the NSAS in a meeting held last December. She added that the ministry is also prepared to discuss on providing cheap rental rates for national team training involving less popular sports. The directory can also help KBS to identify sports facilities that need to be upgraded and those that are in high or low demand in a certain area. Terengganu FC head coach Tomislav Steinbruckner hopes the Turtle squad will continue their winning momentum when they take on Kelantan FC at the Sultan Mezzan Zainal Abidin Stadium later tonight. He said that all his players need to work hard and avoid making silly mistakes to ensure that they secure the full 3 points. After the winning last Friday, he said the team immediately looked into strategizing and planning for the next match against Kelantan. In the meantime, Steinbruckner also urged his players to take care of their health and diet because of their relatively tight match schedule in the month of Ramadan. The team's key import player Jordan Minta is also hoped to recover from an injury and get to play tonight. After scoring his first goal of the season in the match against Kelantan United FC last Friday, Minta admitted that he is getting more excited to help his squad win. TFC are currently in 8th place in the Super League after collecting 7 points from 6 matches, while Kelantan FC are 11th with 4 points. And that concludes Malaysia Tonight this time around. In our top story today, PM says there is no reason for Malaysia to depend on US dollar to attract investments. Do tune in to updates at noon coming up tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. on TV2. Now, before we leave, let's take a look at Peruvian and Bolivian chefs coming together to celebrate Amazon cuisine. Till then,